On the southwestern coast of the Bulge of West Africa, Sierra Leone lies less than 10 degrees from the equator. Facing the Atlantic Ocean to the west, it is bounded by Guinea to the north and east and Liberia to the southeast. It has a coastline of nearly 210 miles (340 kilometers). The capital and largest city is Freetown, see Freetown, Sierra Leone. Area 27,699 square miles, 71,740 square kilometers. Population 2020 est. 8,025,000. Sierra Leone has 4 physical regions from southwest to northeast, a flat, low-lying region with mangrove swamps along the Atlantic coast, the heavily wooded Sierra Leone Peninsula, the site of Freetown, that rises from the coastal plains to about 3,000 feet (910 meters), the interior plains covered by savanna grasslands and occasional rocky scarps and hills, and a high, mountainous region that includes Bintamani Peak, the highest point in the country, and in all of West Africa, at 6,390 feet (1,948 meters). The principal rivers, the Great Scarces, Little Scarces, Rokal, called Sierra Leone in its lower course, Jong, and Mano, flow in a general northeast to southwest direction into the Atlantic. The Sierra Leone and Sherbro estuaries are navigable for ocean-going vessels. Other rivers are navigable by small craft for only short distances. The tropical climate has high temperatures and humidity throughout the year. Average annual temperatures range from 75 degrees to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees to 27 degrees Celsius. The rainy season lasts from April to November, and rainfall is heaviest along the coast, especially along the Sierra Leone Peninsula, about 200 inches (510 centimeters). A hot, dry, sand-carrying wind blows from the Sahara during the dry season. Roughly 30% of the land is under tropical forest that yields such valuable timber as mahogany and teak. A large percentage of forest land is reserved and protected. Varied animal life includes the monkey, chimpanzee, tiger, porcupine, antelope, crocodile, and many species of birds. Wildlife is protected in the 242,220-acre (98,030-hectare) Outamba Kilimi National Park, which opened in 1981. People and culture: the majority of the people live in the eastern and western regions of Sierra Leone. There are about 18 ethnic groups, chief among them the Mende and Temne. The Mende form more than a quarter of the total. Other groups include the Limba, Fulani, Kissi, and Kono. The Creole, descendants of freed black African slaves, make up about 2% and are largely concentrated near Freetown. Although English is the official language, Creole, a language derived from English and several African languages, is widely spoken. Vai is a local indigenous script, but most literature is written in the Roman alphabet or in Arabic. Muslims and Christians are the 2 main religious groups. About 40% of the people follow traditional beliefs. Such traditional handicrafts as cloth weaving, leatherwork, basketry, pottery, and rug making are popular. Music and dance forms related to tribal religious ceremonies are well developed. The Sierra Leone Dance Troupe, through its international tours, has made these dances known worldwide. Primary education is free but not compulsory. In the 1980s, in order to increase literacy, the government tried to extend the primary school system to the whole country, especially in rural areas. Parents and guardians are encouraged to send their children to school. The University of Sierra Leone, founded in 1967, consists of 2 constituent colleges, Fora Bay College, the oldest in West Africa, and Njala University College. The Institute of Education, also part of the university, provides teacher training. A school of nursing is in Freetown. Economy: subsistence farming is the way of life for the majority of Sierra Leone's population. Less than 10% of the land is available for cultivation. Rice is the staple food crop. Other major crops are coffee, cocoa, oil palm, cassavas, millet, and peanuts. Piassava palm, from which brushes are made, and ginger are also grown. Livestock raising is a significant source of income. About a third of the land is under permanent pasture. Cattle raising is concentrated in the north. One of the world's largest producers of industrial diamonds and gemstones, Sierra Leone also produces gold and titanium ores. Its deposits of rutile, a crystalline form of titanium dioxide, are among the largest in the world. Mineral exports provide more than half of the country's foreign exchange earnings. Furniture and cigarette making, brewing, petroleum refining, and flour and saw milling are the chief manufacturing industries. Small-scale industries include weaving and the curing and smoking of fish. Tourism grew as a significant source of revenue in the 1980s. The country's chief exports are rutile, diamonds, cocoa, and coffee. Major imports are food and live animals. The country's transportation network includes a direct road link between Freetown and Monrovia, Liberia. The last railway line, now closed, moved iron ore from Marampa to the port of Pepple. There is an international airport at Lungi, near Freetown. The port of Freetown is one of the world's largest natural ports. History and government. During the 15th century, the Mende and Tempi peoples moved to Sierra Leone. The coastal region was visited by the Portuguese in 1460, and the mountains of the peninsula were named Serra Leoa, meaning Lion Mountains. The country took its name from the mountains. By 1495, a Portuguese fort was erected at the site of modern Freetown. British philanthropists founded Freetown in 1787 to provide a home for freed and runaway slaves, who resettled from England, Nova Scotia, and Jamaica. In 1808, the Freetown settlement became a British colony, and the surrounding area was proclaimed a British protectorate in 1896. Sierra Leone achieved independence in 1961 within the Commonwealth. In 1967, a military junta took control of the government, but the next year civilian rule was re-established. The country was declared a republic in 1971. 7 years later, it became a single-party republic under the All People's Congress. A new constitution approved in 1991 allowed for the introduction of a multi-party system, but implementation was delayed. Some in Sierra Leone doubted the sincerity of the government's commitment to a multi-party system. A rebel group led by Foday Sankoh began attacking government troops from bases in neighboring Liberia. The rebels called themselves the Revolutionary United Front (RUF). In 1992, as the rebellion was expanding into a civil war, a separate military revolt led by Captain Valentine Strasser ousted President Joseph Mamo. Many thousands of refugees were forced to flee the country. Another coup, this one bloodless, came in 1996. It was led by Brigadier General Julius Maada Bio and drove Strasser from power. Civilian control of the government was soon restored and Ahmad Tijan Kaba, a Muslim lawyer, was elected president on the Sierra Leone People's Party ticket. Kaba and Foday Sankoh signed a peace agreement in December 1996. Peace was short-lived, however. In May 1997, Kaba was removed from office in a revolt of junior military officers who were led by Johnny Paul Karoma. Meanwhile, the civil war turned into a campaign of terror. Humanitarian groups reported that RUF forces targeted civilians for summary executions, amputation of limbs, and rape. Hundreds of thousands of refugees fled the country. In February 1998, a Nigerian-led peacekeeping force ousted Karoma and reinstated Kaba. The military coalition was affiliated with the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) and was known as the ECOWAS Ceasefire Monitoring Group (ECOMOG). In April of 1999, peace talks began in Lomé, Togo. The talks were mediated by the United Nations (UN) and the Organization of African Unity and produced a ceasefire. In August, however, the Lomé agreement threatened to fall apart, as UN officials and aid workers were taken hostage by the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, or AFRC, a force aligned with the country's former military government. The hostages were released through the intervention of Karoma. The Lomé agreement brought Sankoh into the government, but it did not bring an end to the fighting. RUF forces continued their brutal attacks on civilians. Starting in May 2000, UN forces joined with the National Army and loyal militias to push the RUF fighters away from the capital. British troops were widely credited with having helped to save Freetown. Gradually, the UN efforts began to bear fruit. An official end to the civil war was declared on January 5, 2002, with a symbolic weapons burning ceremony in Freetown. More than 45,000 rebels belonging to the RUF turned in their weapons. With the declaration of peace, the United Nations Security Council lifted a ban on the trade of rough diamonds from the country. Kaba retained his position in an election that May, and the nation began a slow recovery. A special UN tribunal was appointed to investigate human rights violations that took place during the long civil war, and humanitarian aid was promised to improve the country's desperate situation.